Today we're going to be looking at 10 players that you can grab off the waiver wire right now to help your fantasy football team. Some of these players are skyrocketing up the rankings. Some of these are just ideas for now or maybe in the future as we try and deep dive some of these players with the analytics and try to forecast the future. But what you do need to do is hit that subscribe button right now. Stop missing out on the deep dives that we're doing on these lesser known waiver wire players and these guys who are just changing in the rankings off and on throughout the season. We are also helping you set those lineups and we're helping you win those trades to help you win those leagues. So hit that button, stop missing out. But let's look at those 10 players who are trending up on the waiver wire as we go into week 4. First player, obvious right now, Devin A. Chain. And he went off last week, and he's a player that should not be on waivers. He should have been rostered as a flyer, one of those rookie running backs that we're just holding on to because he has elite speed, he has speed to burn, he has draft capital, he's in a fast-paced offense. There's a lot of good with this player, and the opportunity for this player to go off is just like any other rookie running back, but he has some things in his game that could allow him to go off, and we saw that last week against the Denver Broncos. Put up a ton of fantasy points, over 50, saw 41% of the snaps, 22 touches, 233 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Elite speed, he should not be on waivers right now, but considering he is in a lot of leagues, that's a blessing, and if you can pick him up, get him, because he's going to be going off and on throughout the year. He fits well with the Dolphins with what they want. They want speed. They want to push the pace. They play fast court. This is a team that's going to use Devin A. Chain forever. Forever. He's going to have a role in this offense, and he's going to have splash performances here and there. And as he gets more acclimated during his rookie season, look for him to get more workload as well. He's a guy that needs to be rostered in every single league. And next, Tank Dell. Should not be on waivers right now. We talked about him last week, and you know what? I think I was too light because I really should have been more over the moon, but I talked him up last week. I should have talked him up more. Should not be on waivers. Last 2 games, ran 71 routes, 82.6 route participation rate, 23% target share. Top end numbers here, wide receiver 7 in fantasy production and PPR. Something you want here. He has been productive in the last couple games here. Over 20 points in both of them. And he's looking good. Looking like the alpha in this offense. Looking like he's going to get a large target share throughout the year. It could be split between the 3 wide receivers, between him and Collins and Woods. Because C.J. Stroud's just slinging it all over the yard. And C.J. Stroud, man, really playing and exceeding expectations. The coaching staff doing a lot better than what we thought with this young group of wide receivers. This has become a good situation for fantasy production. You need to be in on Tank Dell. You need to be in on Nico Collins. You need to be in on Robert Woods, because if this continues, if this trend continues to happen, all these wide receivers are going to pop off and on throughout the year. Tank Dell had another great game last week, and he's trending up. Next is Joshua Palmer. We talked about Quentin Johnston in the video last night in the You Need series, but we also talked about Joshua Palmer quite a bit, and I'm going to roll out his own video as well because he's pretty safe. He's pretty safe. He's a pretty safe get at wide receiver off the waiver wire. 13 points per game without Mike Williams in the lineup. That's been 5 games throughout his career. Once Mike Williams was out, he played in all the snaps with Keenan Allen. He's going to be on the field. If you did not watch that video from last night, I suggest you do. But the premise here, I called Josh Palmer a safe asset, Quentin Johnston a lottery ticket, and I used the example. Quentin Johnston's more like Dogecoin, Joshua Palmer more like a dollar bill. Safe asset you can spend money on. Quentin Johnston up and down, could be nothing, could be a lot. We don't know. We don't know. Rookie wide receiver here with a ton of upside, but also does not have all the finer nuances developed in his game for separation, hands catching, and all that stuff. Still some development to do here, but can make those splash plays if they come his way, if he gets opportunity. Joshua Palmer, though, we know he can be productive. We know he's going to be on the field. A good get off the waiver wire, and that's really what we're saying about Joshua Palmer right now. Next, Tyjae Spears. We keep talking about him every week, but he keeps getting opportunity, he keeps seeing snaps, and it's going to continue to happen. 6 targets in his last 2 games, but a 12.5% target share. Solid for an RB2. Solid for a running back sharing the workload. He's more like sharing the workload right now, as he's seeing 25 snaps a game in his last two, 31% opportunity share, 12.5 routes per game. He's getting opportunity, and there's going to be a game where he goes off. There's going to be a game where he does something. Maybe you can't depend on him in redraft right now, or maybe even in the future at all this season, but he might be a guy you chase in DFS. That might be the thing. The thing is, last year, we were chasing Derrick Henry's backup due to the volume in this offense. This year, we're doing the same thing. If something happens to Henry, Tajay Spears is going to get a ton of workload. Next, we're looking at Luke Musgrave. Big workload last week in a funky game script against the Saints. 86% route participation rate. Saw 8 targets, a career high, and an 18.6% target share. And saw 86% of the snaps. A lot of 8s in there. The thing is, when a tight end gets this much of a workload, they're usually a tight end 1 on the season. So if this can extrapolate out throughout the year, this is going to be a tight end you want. This is going to be a tight end that's going to have some games where he's productive. He's going to have some games where he scores some touchdowns. He's going to get some opportunity. Watson coming back is going to stretch the field here. It's going to allow him to work underneath a little bit more, allow him to be open a little bit more, allow him to get more opportunities, which is something we want to see. Musgrave is a player to monitor to get off waivers if you need a tight end. Looking at wide receivers here, Marvin Mims is an anomaly right here, but he's seeing air yards here. 218 air yards in his last 2 games, 31 ADOT, 7 targets and 11% target share on a 24% snap share. He's only ran 8 routes in his last 2 games and a 21% route participation rate, but yet the wide receiver 13 in the last 2 weeks. Deep ball city. Deep ball city with Marvin Mims, and that's why 218 air yards. They let him run it deep. They toss it to him deep. If he brings it in, you got some big moments there. That's the thing about Marvin Mims. He is a great DFS play in plus matchups, and there's going to be some of them because they play in the AFC West. Another thing you want to think about, his workload should increase throughout the year, or should, doesn't mean it will, because one, he's a rookie. Got good draft capital. He's doing some things on the field. We're seeing him get some deep targets here. Good to see. We got 4.3 speed out of this guy. Chucking it deep in these game scripts where it's going bonkers here and the Broncos have to throw it. Marvin Mims is going to have some opportunity throughout the season. The workload is weird right now, though. The targets aren't there. The routes aren't there. But the deep balls are. And you can cash in on some deep balls. It's the Will Fuller effect. Next, DJ Chark is in the Will Fuller effect range as well. 93% of the snaps last week as he came back from that injury. Looking good. 11 targets, 19.3% target share, 62 routes ran, 96.9% route participation rate. Jonathan Mingo had an injury, 188 air yards on the week. This guy can be productive in the right game script. He's a lottery ticket wide receiver, as this Panthers offense is very up and down, mostly down. But the thing is, the game script could push the Panthers to throw it more downfield. That could be a chart game. He's one of those players you look at and you think, man, maybe he can bring one in. Maybe he can bring a pass in downfield and get you something. He's a Will Fuller type, as in he can give you some boom weeks. There's going to be a lot of bust weeks as well. But the air yards, the deep targets, something we've seen out of DJ Chark throughout his career, throughout his collegiate career, that is part of his game, and you can take advantage of that playing the matchups correctly. Next, CJ Stroud. Stop sleeping on him. Don't let him be on waivers much longer. He's QB12 right now, which means he should be rostered. Available in 80% of leagues. 40 pass attempts a game right now on average. 74% of his passes are catchable. 316 air yards a game. When you put all that combined, you're looking at a QB1 right here. A top-tier quarterback in fantasy per volume standpoint. Looking good, tossing it downfield. We're getting volume. We should see that all year long because the Texans are not going to be up in a lot of games. They're going to be in shootouts. I'm probably going to be wrong on that because I've been wrong on this Texans team a lot. I was expecting them to be a lot slower. I was expecting them to put the kids' gloves on CJ Stroud. They did not. They're letting him sling the rock. He's looking good. He's looking fabulous. Tossing it downfield, being accurate. His wide receivers are eating up production. CJ Stroud should not be on waivers anymore. Next, Jacoby Myers should not be on waivers. We have 2-game sample here after that injury, and he is getting volume. He is getting workload. 41 routes ran last week, 83.7% route participation rate, 12 targets, 27% target share, 154 air yards. We're not just chasing recent production. He's been productive in 2 games this season. He's been productive with the Patriots. He has proven he's a good wide receiver. We were talking about drafting him over the offseason because he should have been a late-round flyer because of what we saw at New England with him, how efficient he is, and now he's bringing that here over to Vegas with the Raiders. A player who should not be on waivers much longer. He should be rostered because he's got upside, and he is also getting enough workload to give him a nice floor. Next, we're looking at Jameson Williams as our last player of the day. And the reason why is he's going to be back here in a few weeks. And that means we get the opportunity to have him rostered. And he's probably floating on waivers in your league. The thing about this, we got to plan for it. We can pick him up now. We can pick him up next week. But we got to plan for this. I might have to do a bunch of you need videos back to back to back on him every week to get that in your guys' head. It's not just put him on your roster, put him in your lineup, see what happens. It's the ramp up to him coming back. It's going to add value as we look at this Lions team. He's chucking the ball all over the yard. Top 10 in pass attempts per game. And they're having their moments where they're very productive in the passing game. The thing about this, he's going to be inserted in this offense. He's going to be talked up a lot when he comes back. A lot of fantasy analysts are going to do that. Even if you don't like him, if you have him rostered, you could trade him away. You can add him plus a player you're trying to get rid of for a player you want. That could be enough to get the deal done if his value goes up. Another thing too, in this offense, there's a lot of opportunity. They want a guy to stretch the field here. They're using Josh Reynolds to do that. He could be a Will Fuller type of wide receiver. That boom-bust play off and on throughout the year. And that's all I'm saying. That could be it. In the right game script, the right matchup, catching enough deep balls, seeing enough deep targets, it could be a Jameson Williams week. That's probably what we're going to get. Him off and on throughout the season. He is more nuanced than advertised when it comes to the route running. He can break off routes pretty well, but he does not have much experience yet at the NFL level to really acclimate himself. Also had been dealing with injuries, rehabbing and stuff most of his career in the NFL, and it's been a short career, but it's been a lot of injuries. We've seen some injuries this offseason. We had that big knee injury from last year, getting back from that, ramping up. Then the last season really started getting his feet wet in the NFL. Really got to see what's going on with Jameson Williams. But again, a lottery ticket that you can cash out off and on throughout the season, especially when he starts coming back, because the value is going to come up. Everybody's going to talk about him as a waiver wire get soon, and you want to plan for the future. Does not mean you need him scoring points for you, but you could use him as a trade piece if he gets promoted enough by every other YouTube channel, every other website, every other Twitter account, and maybe you can cash out and get something out of that and really bolster your team. Or you put them in your lineups and see what happens. It's up to you. It's up to you, but plan for it. Just plan for it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I want to hear about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.